start and wait for 1 or 2 minutes. One more thing, what I have to do. I have to take form, right? Yeah, 1 second. I'll paste the quiz form. Okay. I'm just pasting in the chat window the link. Please complete the quiz. Okay, good morning. In yesterday's class, we were seeing about okay. So that's the class we were seeing all this. Yeah, we have done with these things. So we have started with the models, data models, 3D schema architecture yesterday we have done, and we have seen what is internal schema, conceptual schema, and external schema. And even we have seen about the 3 schema architecture. Then we have seen about data independency, that is logical data independence, physical data independence. Then the DBMS language. Someone is asking for permission. What's happening there? Yeah. Okay. So 36 people are there. I have to just check out whether the attendance is still there. 1 second. So not there. I'm just verifying 1 second. I'm verifying whether this attendance is recorded or not for today's class. Yes. Okay, it's done. Okay, in the last class we have seen about what are the different languages we have, and we have seen about DBMS language. So in that we have GDL, GML, and some software, some tools. They
Ma'am,
yeah, yes.
ma'am, so much noise is coming.
Too much noise. I use headset because of fan. See, this is what the problem. So early in the morning we come, hurry burry, we want fan. But here, if I add fan, it's on the voice. Okay. Okay, now can
It's
you
clear now.
It's clear, right? Huh? Yeah, because I was using fan and I was not using headset. Okay. Thanks for that. Okay, next we start with, we've seen about this. We have seen about different languages, high level and low level, and we have seen about the interfaces. Then we have seen about database system utilities, other tools we have seen. Then we have seen what is centralized and client server architecture, and we have seen about basic client server architecture, what is specialized server with specialized function, clients, DBMS server. And we have seen these are the different servers available. For each one, we are using a separate thing. One is for file server, another one is for print server, another for web server, and another for mail server. So what is file server? When we want any files, it may be any format. If I want to send, then we use a file server. Then if I want to take some printout, then we use a print server. In the same way, if I want to use the internet and we want to use some browsers, along with that we want to add some use something else, then we use a web server. I want to send the mails to you, then it is a email server. Then a client, so who is a client? Now I am a client because I'm using a Google Meet, but I have only some limitations. Where all my Gmail are stored, it is stored in a server. So the same, that's what here client means. So the server, what is this client? So client, we require a local LAN or WAN. So what is this LAN, local area network? So I should have a connectivity and I should have a wireless network also. And what is DBMS server? Provides the database queries and transaction service to the client. So now, what is this DBMS server will do? So now I just gave you some example. Now what is DBMS server is doing? I can fetch some data, I can do some transaction and give a service to the client. And sometimes called query and transaction server. So that is what is a DBMS server is doing. Then two-tier client server architecture. So user interface program and application programs run on a client side. Interface called ODBC, Open Database Connectivity. So provides the application. So you would have seen that inbuilt functions are there. That is application program interface allow client side programs to call the DBMS. Most DBMS vendors provide a ODBC server. So then we have seen even in the last class, two-tier client server architecture. So we have seen the client server architecture. In that, if I divide some parts, that's what you would have seen MVC architecture. So what is this MVC architecture is doing? Model view controller. The same way here also, this is what is called as a two-tier client server architecture. So what is this? Client program may connect to the server DBMS and how the data is stored in the data server. So then three-tier client server architecture. What is this three-tier client server architecture? It may be web application, it may be application server, or it can be a security. So these are the architecture where we use for a three-tier client server architecture. So then how do we classify a DBMS? And we have seen about traditional and emerging. Traditional means earlier what they were using. So they were using a relation, they were using a network, they were using a hierarchical. Then what is emerging? Object oriented or object relation. So then what is classification? Single user and centralized. What is single user? Only one people are using it. Then we call it as a single user. Centralized, all the computers connected to one system so that we use, then that is called as a centralized. Then what is distributed? What is the disadvantage of centralized? If something goes wrong, because we keep everything in one place, and if something goes wrong, then it will be problem for us to fetch the data. So in that case, same thing. So suppose if you are doing some PBL projects, then what you people do, you don't keep everything in one place. You may replicate it, means keep it in one pen drive, keep it in your mail, keep it in your laptops also. Why? So if something goes wrong in one system, other alternatives are available. That's what here the distributed system is doing. So what is distributed system will be doing? Distributed system will have a multiple copies in multiple computers. So that is what multiple computers and multiple database. Okay, next we start with classification of DBMS. So distributed database system. So what do we mean by the dictionary meaning of distributed? Distribute means what? Many. So you don't keep everything in one place, and you cannot say, suppose if you think that you have done a PBL project and you have kept your code, your documentation, everything is there in pen drive. Suppose let us assume that your pen drive got spoiled. Then what you'll do? Then what is your work? Then what's the other options for you? Then how much time you would have done to complete that PBL project? Let us assume that you have taken 1 semester to complete that, and your pen drive is spoiled. Then whole your semester, 1 semester will get spoiled. So instead of that, if you have an alternative copy, so one is in pen drive, one is in laptop, one is in your mail. So then what? If even pen drive goes, if it is spoiled, still you have a copy in your laptop or copy in your mail. So that is the use of distributed. What is this database? So what is the database means? We create all the tables. Same way how you have your PBL project, same way even the tables also, the same case with the table also. So tables also should be distributed. It cannot be placed in one system. So that is what is called as a distributed database system. Have now come to known as client server based database system. So then what I have to do, suppose you think that you have created 10 tables and you have entered about 100 people details into that. And if that table is not working, then what? All 100 data, whatever you sat and did will go, right? So instead of to avoid that, we are using something called as a distributed. And how it is? That it is in a form of client server based database, because they do not support a totally distributed environment, but rather a set of database servers supporting a set of clients. So what we do here, because they do not support totally distributed environment, but rather set of database servers supporting a set of clients. So now let us say for third semester, how many people are using my login, the Google Meet right now for third semester? All 51 students, 53 students are able to access it. Then what we say, the client for this class are all set of students. Yes. So where even I am also client because I'm using a Google Meet. So all 53 are clients. Where is server? Server is in a Google server. So we are just a clients like this. So how many we are? For third semester, we are 53. That's what the set of clients. So then variations of distributed environment, homogeneous database, heterogeneous database, federated or multi-database system. What is homogeneous distributed database system? Homogeneous means what? Homo means what? Same. So suppose all details of third semester MCA student details are there in one table. Then what we call? We call it as a homogeneous distributed database management system. In the same way, heterogeneous. Hetero means what? Many, different. So now even MCA students, suppose you placement people are asking details of all the students who are placed in some good company. So then what? That too, let us assume that it is for software company. Then MCA students also attended the interviews. CS students also attended the interviews. IS students also attended the interviews. AI and ML students are also attend the interviews. Then what type of data it is? It is heterogeneous because it is not only MCA, CS is also there, IS is also there, AIML are also there. Then that type of data, we call it as a heterogeneous distributed database management system. Then federated or multi-database system. Multi means what? Many. So now one option for homogeneous means you keep everything in one place, that is like MCA students, only MCA. Then heterogeneous is something like all mixed, IS, MCA, CS, AIML, all mixed. Then multi-database. So in heterogeneous, what we do, we keep one table where all are mixed. MCA is mixed, CS is mixed, IS is mixed, and AIML is also mixed. So avoid this. Why can't we create a separate tables for one for MCA, one for CS, one for IS, and one for AI and ML? People who are going for a one particular company, and after they select also, let me only fetch who are all there. Then that type of database, we call it as a multi-database system. Okay, and we have seen about a company database. So an example for a company database we have taken in company. There may be different departments and there may be some controllers, there may be some employees, there may be some projects. This is what yesterday we have seen about taking an example, and we have started with ER model also. So what is this ER model? So what is ER model? ER model means entity ER, entity relational model concepts, entity and attributes. What is entity? So this is very important because for all your lab programs, you have to draw ER diagram for all 5. And definitely I can guarantee you that 10 marks question or 20 marks question will be there for you in this ER model. ER diagrams you have to draw. They may ask you some example, some their own thing like university, and they may ask you to draw ER diagram for university. That's the reason I'm stressing you out. ER diagram is very important. Okay, in that, what is entity and what is attribute? Entity means, like, now if we take an example of university, university is a one big component. In that, how many departments are there? So we may have MCA department, CS department, IS department. So if we consider this one each department is called as a entities. Entities are specific objects or things in mini world that are represented in the database. For example, employee, department. What is employee? Employee is one entity. So in that, there may be so many: employee name, employee which department he is working, which age, or there we may add so many. Then that is called as a attributes. What is department? Department is again one entity. What is project? Project is again one entity. If we say department is one entity, under that department, how many things are there? MCA is one department, CS is one, IS is one, AML, civil, all this. So those are called as attributes. So what is the name of the department? Which year it is started? Those things we call it as attributes. The same way project. So what is the name of the project? Which year it is started? Which year it is completing? How many people are working for this project? Like this, we call it as attributes. So attributes are properties used to describe an entity. So to in-depthly describe the entity, we are using an attribute. The same way, for example, employee. Employee is one entity. Have name, SSN, address, sex, birth date. These are all the attributes for employee. What is the employee name? What is the social security number of the employee? What is the address of the employee? Male, female, birth date. So this, whatever we have for the employee, is called as an attribute. Take an example. The name of the employee is John Smith. The social security number of the employee is 1234 some number. So then address, what is a flat, whether it is a house, which road, what is this things we give in the address. Then what is whether he is a male or a female? Male. What is the date of birth? January 19, some date of birth. So this is all called as attributes. For which entity? For entity employee. For entity employee, these are the attributes. Then each attribute have a set of values, so, or data types. Now you can just see in this, name is what data type? Varchar. SSN is what data type? Number. The address is what type of data type? It's also Varchar, but the size compared to name and address should be given more space than name. So like this, we give the data types. So associated with it, example, integer, string, subrange, enumerated type. So this we give for the attributes. Okay, next we move on, types of the attributes. What are the type of the attributes? It can be simple, it can be composite, it can be multi-valued. What is simple? Simple means what? One single. Now your USN, whether you're a male or a female, there is only one component in it. Then we call it as a simple. Each entity has a single atomic value for attribute. For example, SSN, or whether you're a male or a female, then we call it as a simple. Then what is composite? Composite means what? Combined. Now let us take a name. So in your name, you have a first name, middle name, last name. But it is a name. But again, still we have so many. In the same way, date, day, month, year. Such type of attributes, we call it as a composite. The attribute may be composed of several components. For example, address, that is apartment, house, street, city, state, zip code, country. So these are all in an address. The same way name, first name, middle name, last name. This is called as a composite. Composite means more than one included in that is called as a composite. Composite may form a hierarchy where some components are themselves composite. Then multi-valued, an entity may have multiple values for the attribute, for example, color. So color of the car, multi means what? Many. There may be many things. Now suppose if I say car is my entity. So if I say color, so what type of color I can give? I can give red, green, blue, whatever I want. So that is called as a multi. Multi means many or previous degrees. So how many degrees right now you have? You are doing your MCA. Before that, you have BCA or BSc. Before that, you have PUC certificates. Before that, you have 10th. Before that, there are so many. So that those are called as a multi-value. So denoted as color or previous degrees. Okay, so next, in general, composite and multi-value attributes may be nested arbitrarily to any number of levels, although this is rare. For example, previous degree of the students is a composite multi-valued attribute denoted as previous degree. In this again, I may have college, year, degree, field. Like this, I may have which year I have done, which college, which year I have passed out, what is the date, everything we give. So it is combined. It may be sometimes some data may be combined, something like this. So composite multi-value database. Composite means what? Many. Something like year, date, month, everything. Multi means what? Many. I have a which college? I would have not, for your BSc or BCA, you studied in one college, and for your PUC, you would have studied in one college. Till 10th, you would have studied in some school. So then there are different things. That's what here it says composite. Next, we move on to the very important things, entity types and key attributes. So what is entity type and key attributes? So the entity with the same basic attributes are grouped or typed into an entity type. For example, the employee entity type or the project entity type. So either how do we call it as an entity? Entities with the same basic attributes are grouped or typed into an entity type. So we combine it all in one same type. If I have all or same integers, then I can group it. So that is what is called as a grouping. So the employee entity type or project entity type. An attribute of any entity type for which each entity must have a unique value is called as a key attributes of the entity type. For example, SSN of an employee. Okay, so now we have told attributes. Then which one is key? Key means how to identify 50, out of 51 students, or suppose in your class there are 2 Deepikas, then how should I identify? If I call Deepika, they will get confused which Deepika they have to answer. Then we give them the initial. Okay, this is fine because there are 2. Suppose if we assume that there are 4 Deepikas in the class, then even 2 Deepikas have same initial, then it will be difficult. So to uniquely identify, you have something called as a USN number. What is this USN number gives you? Uniquely identifying third semester student. Same way, that USN, we are calling it as a key. What type of key it is? It is a primary key. A key attribute may be composite. In key also there may be a composite, or it may be a simple also, or it may be multi-value. For example, vehicle tag number is a key for of a car entity type with a composite components number and state. So you can see the car number, your car number. Suppose if you are from a Karnataka state, then it will start with KA. If you are from Andhra, it will start with AP. If it is Tamil Nadu, it will start with TN. So like this, based on the different states, there is a composite and there is some number for this. So it may start from A, B, C, D till Z. Then you may have some number. That's what is called as a key attributes. An entity type may have more than one key. For example, the car entity type may have 2 keys. Vehicle identification number, vehicle tag number. So vehicle identification number, popularly called VIN, or number and state, also called as a license plate number. So the same way, vehicle identification number. So now suppose if I have a Maruti. So how many Marutis? You may have same color, you may have everything, the model, everything is same. Even car color is also same, engine also same, all the parts in the car is same. But how should I identify? There are 4 Maruti cars in front. Then how do you identify uniquely? Then we have something called as a identification number for each car, though they are same. But this is different from your vehicle license plate number. That is different, and this is different. Same way, now you have your mobile phones. So now suppose if this is a Samsung. So in Samsung also, how many Samsungs are there? And again in Samsung, which number it is? And again, if I have a same Samsung, same number, same features, I may have 10 like this. Then how uniquely I have to identify? There will be some unique number to identify each mobiles. That is what is called as a vehicle identification number or vehicle tag number. So now let us just take an example of the same entity set corresponding to an entity type car. So in the car, we'll just take some example, or how do we write a entity set car. So in the car, what are things we read? We require a registration number, we require a state, vehicle ID, making, model, year, color. So how many are there? Registration number. So what is the registration number? ABC12. What is the state? Some either it may be Texas, New York, anything. It may not be only in India, anywhere throughout the world. Then vehicle ID. So each will be having different vehicle IDs. Then who has manufactured it? Which company it is manufactured? What is a model? You would have seen that nowadays some models, maybe 20 years down the line model, they are banning. Why do they ban? Maybe because those models are generating a huge environment pollution. So then those will be banned. So that's how the model says. Year, which year it is manufactured? 1999, something like this. What is a color? Either it is a red, black, what it is. So these are some of the examples for the car. The car 1 with these features, car 2 with these features, car 3 with these features. This we call it as a entity set and entity. What is an entity? Entity type is a car. And this is my description of my car I want in my table. When I'm creating a table, suppose you are doing some projects for RTO. Then they ask you in one table, they want these details. They want register number, which state that was belongs to, and what is a vehicle number. So all these is required. So and you keep entering how many cars, there will be keep entering the cars like this. So now just there are 3 examples, you can keep going like this. So this is called as a entity set corresponding to the entity type of the car. Okay, so to represent all these, we use a diagrammatic representation. Same way how you though write algorithms, you write a flowcharts, right? You have algorithm. What is algorithm? A step-by-step procedure to solve a problem. Same way, what is flowchart? But what is the difference between flowchart and algorithm? Algorithm is in a textual form. What is algorithm? Flowchart? It is in a diagrammatic representation. Same way here also, to represent the ER diagrams, we are using some notations. Which one for what we are representing? That is what is a summary of ER diagram notation for ER schemas. These are the symbols. These are the meaning of this symbol. So if this is a just an entity like your car, then just a rectangle. And what is the meaning? It is if you are using a rectangle, only single rectangle, then we call it as a entity type. And if you have a double, something like this, double rectangle, then we call it as a weak entity type. So when do we call it as a weak? When we don't have any keys. To identify that particular entities, we don't have a keys, then we call it as a weak entity type. Now I have a decision whether I should attend a class, whether I should bunk the class. Then for this I have a true case, I have a false case. This is called as a relationship type. So the same way, identifying the relationship type, then we are using a double rhombus. Attributes. So how many attributes? Car have so many attributes. We have just seen car register number, state, vehicle ID, making, model, year. So this we represent in the form of attributes. What we use? We use this oval symbol. For all the attributes, we use a oval symbol. And to differentiate between different attributes, to represent that, what is a name, what is, in this also, a register number, state, vehicle ID, all these are there. All these we represent in the form of, this car is, we have to represent in a rectangle. And all these, whatever is there, register number, state, vehicle ID, making, model, year, all these we represent. Those are called as a attributes. These are all called as a attributes of this part. That is what is called as a attribute. Then what is a key attribute? This is what a key attribute. Primary key. If I want to represent a keys, then we use a single dash. Within a oval, we use a dash. That is what is called as a key attribute. Then multi-valued attribute, that's what a color. Color of the car can be different things. Then we use a double oval. That is what is a multi-valued attribute. Then composite, this is a name. First name, last name, middle name. That is what is a composite. To represent the composite, we use a one oval shape and within that one more. The three, first name, middle name, last name for the name. Name is a attribute. The same way date. Day, month, year. That's what is a composite attribute. Then derived attribute, dotted lines. It is not visible, but it is a dotted lines we use for a derived attributes. Then a total participation of E2. What is this E2? Entity to entity within a relation. So E1 is related to E2 with the relationship R. Whether it is one to one, one to many, we represent that. So that's what here you can see. Total participation or what is a cardinality ratio. E1 related to R double line E2 is total participation. Then we use a cardinality ratio. One to one, one to many, many to many, many to one, like that. So then we use a symbol like this. That is what is called as a cardinality ratio, 1 to n. So now in this case, it is E1 to E2, E1 one cardinality ratio to E2 with respect to n, 1 to n relationship. So in the same way, we may give minimum to maximum. That's what is called as a structural constraint or on participation of E in R. That's what is called as a structure. These are summaries of ER diagram. So this is very important. You have to remember all these diagrams. You have to remember to draw any ER diagram. So ER diagram. So when do we use this? This we are using for entity. This we are using for attributes. This we are using for relationship. These are the things, main things which you have to remember. Along with this, if you don't have any primary keys in the entity, then weak. Relationship, identifying, attributes, primary key, multi-valued, composite. So like this, we represent all this. That's what is called as a ER diagram. So just take an example for one ER diagram. That's what just we have seen. Employee ER diagram for employee. So what are the entity types in the employee? Employee, department, project, and dependents. So employee, you can see this is rectangle. This is an employee. So in the same way, Department, how many departments? MCA, CS, IS. So department is one entity. Projects, how many projects? Third semester students are doing 51 projects. 6 semesters are doing so many projects. First semester are doing so many projects. That's what project. Dependents, how many students? All 3 semester MCAs students are dependent on MCA department. That's what a dependent. Now employees. Again in employee, name, what's whether female, male, female, address, salary, SSN number, birth date. These are the attributes. Again in this attributes, SSN is a primary key and this is a single or atomic attribute. Then name. Name is a composite attribute. What is this composite attribute? Because there are so many. First name, middle name, last name. That's what is called as a composite attribute. So now coming back to department. Department name, department number, location. That is what about a department. Project, project name, project number and location. Dependents, name, sex, birth date and relationship. So these are the dependents. Now we start drawing. So employee. Employee itself can be a principal, can be your HOD. Then we call it as a supervision. This is a special relationship because we are using a loop. Out of 100 or 200 employees, one will be a supervisor or one will be a principal. Out of 14 employees in the MCA department, one will be HOD, supervise, supervision. So that's what here 1 to N relationship. Then coming for this department. Employees work for department. All employees in BMSIT college works for department. How many employee? 150, 200. So what is the relationship? Many. So suppose if I say in MCA department, 14 employees are there who are working for MCA department, for one department. For which department? MCA. That is one department. For one MCA department, 14 employees are there. For one BMSIT college, there are 200 employees. Like this we give, this is what is called as a relationship. And how is this relationship? Totally participated? Yes, totally. So when we say totally, double lines. And what is the cardinality ratio? 1 to N. For one department, 14 employees are there. For one BMSIT college, there are 200 employees, more than 200 employees. That's what is called. Managers. How many managers are there in BMSIT college? There is one manager to manage BMSIT college. Yes, so managers. There is one manager for one BMSIT college. That is which date they have started. Department. What is the number of employees in the department? Okay. Projects. In MCA department, how many projects are there? How many third semester students, how many projects they are doing? And who is controlling it? All 14 staffs are given with some set of students. So that's what is called as a controlling. And works for. Employee also works for. MCA department, 14 staff are working on third semester students projects. Works on. For how many hours? What is the project name? What is the project number? What is the location related to the project? Now, employees. How many employees have a dependents? Male, female employee, male employee. How many are dependent? Maybe his wife, maybe his kids. That's what the dependents. Employees in the department, in how many of them are dependent? If they are dependent, what is the name? whether a male child, whether a female child, which date they are born, what is the relationship, whether it is a first child, second child. So that's what here the employee dependent on. So this, if you understand this, this is very, very important, not only for your exam 100%, you'll be having a 20 marks question on this ER diagram. This is very, very important. Along with this, when you go for industry, first to understand what the project is, you have to draw something like this. If you have to draw something like this, then only you will be able to understand completely about your project. This is a ER diagram. Okay, so then we move on to the relationship. We just spoke about so much about entities, attributes. Now we see what is a relationship and what are the different types of relationships available. So relationship and relationship types. So relationship relates to two or more distinct entities with a specific name. For example, employee John Smith works for project X, or employee Franklin Wong manages the research department. Like this we give, that's what is called as a relationship. Then relationship of the same type are grouped or typed into a relationship type. That's what is a relationship. For example, works on, relationship type in the employee and project participates or the managers, relationship type in which employees and departments participate. So this is what is called as a relationship. Works on, projects, manages, like that. The degree of relationship type is a number of participating entities, both manage and works on, are binary relationship. So what do we call binary? Binary means one-to-one. So now in BMSIT college, there will be only one principal, but there may be so many heads of the department, HOD. Each department will be having one. So that then we call such type as a binary relation. Binary means either maybe 0 or 1. Maybe present, if present then 1, absent 0. Then how do we represent the relation? Example for the relationship instances of the works for relationship between employee and departments. Employee, how many employees are there? E1, E2, E3. Like this, we have so many employees. Works for which project? How many departments are there? There are 3 departments. Department 1, 2, and 3. Works for how many? So E1 is working for department D1. And E2 is working for department D2. E3 is working for D1. E4 is working for D2. E5 is working for D3. E6 is working for department D1. E7 is working for department D3. This is how we represent employee and department with the relationship. How it is relationship? So you in this you can see this is only 1-to-1. This is one employee for this department. Okay, but if you come in the reverse, D1, how many employees are there working for D1? There is one E1 employee, there is one E3 employee, there is E6 employee. So then what we call, in D1, how many employees are there? 3 employees are there. In D2, how many employees are there? 1, 2. In D3, how many employees are there? 2. So how many total are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, how many employees are there? 7. So like this, can we not represent how many employees are there? Yes, we can represent. What is the relationship here? E1 is working for department D1. E3 is also working for the department D1. E6 is also working for D1. Like this, E2 is working for D2. E4 is working for the department D2. In the same way, E5 is working for G3. E7 is working for the department G3. So this is what is a relationship for employee and the department. This with respect to two entities called as a employees and the department. So how many employees? 7 employees. How many departments? 3 departments. That's what we have seen. These are the employees. These are the departments. Same way, now we can still move on to the employees and projects. How many projects are there? There are 3 projects. And how many people are there? 7 people. And for how is the relationship? How should I represent the relationship? So how many relationships here we have? We have a relationship, 7 relationships were there. It is not only 7, we can add any number. In this case, you can see there are 9 relationships. Even is E2, employee E2 is working for project P2 as well as E2 is working for the project P3. Means what? Employee 2 is working for 2 projects, that is P2 and P3. So the same way, employee E7 is working for R9 P1 project with the relationship R9. E7 is working for P3 project with the relationship R7. What is this relationship? Now, this is your HOD or project. Suppose, let me say project. And this employee this is one employee in MCA department. He is guiding a first semester student. He is also guiding a 5th semester student. Yes. So now, suppose if we say one employee, one project, that is 3rd semester project, is being guided by employee called E2 for some set of students, and some set of students is guided by E4. So this is how we can represent the relationship diagram for employee and project. So let me stop here and we continue with the next class. So before we close, so I'll just again paste the people who have joined late can quickly give your quiz here. I'm reloading it. The people who have not completed can complete the quiz.